Good afternoon. Today we're going to go through a tutorial on setting up hortonworks with hadoop. We're actually going to do a little twist on this and set up the Cloudera environment. Run a VM with Cloudera so you can see how that works. I've listed here the URL that you can go to view this tutorial. So we'll just be stepping through this in a Cloudera instead of hortonworks environment. I've also listed some additional commands that were required for setting up a Cloudera environment and just getting hadoop to play nice with it. So let's go ahead and get started here. First, you need to make sure that you have hortonworks, or in our case Cloudera sandbox VM set up. You can use VMware's VM as we are doing here. You'll need Java 6 in the development environment on the VM and an IDE like Eclipse. We are using Eclipse Luna, which comes pre-installed on the Cloudera VM, and of course in a working internet connection. First, you're going to need to download the version of Hadoop that matches what is on your VM, so you can actually go to Cloudera's website, look at the VM. We are running 5.8.0, and you can find the Hadoop version that matches that, and then download the jars that are necessary to run this Java application. So in this tutorial, we're going to be basically counting up election votes. So kind of the long and short of this is we have two different text files that are coming from different booths. We want to count all the votes from these text files to get a total to see who has won the election. So to start, we are going to create a project, Java project within Eclipse Luna here. You see we've already created one. I'm assuming if you know how to program in Java, you can do that. It's just standard settings here. We will then need to ensure that we add our external jars. So we'll go to Utopia vote count. I'm going to go to build path, configure build path, and we'll add external jars. As you can see, we already have all of our jars added. I'm also going to add a list of this into the description. Because we are running on a different VM than what the tutorial is, there's several others that need to be added. Just take some time and scroll through this so you can kind of see where they're located and the versions on them. Okay. So next we're going to code our mapper class. Let's go ahead, take a look here. You're just going to create a simple new Java class, nothing fancy about it. I do recommend creating a package. We're getting word that there are some errors if your files are not in a package, they will throw an error after they've been compiled and when you attempt to run them on Hadoop. So we'll start with our mapper class here. And we literally just copy and paste this code here. And what this is going to do is it's going to map the data to the mapper score. So then we're going to do our reduce class, which again, just created a standard Java class. This is going to be our vote count reducer here. This will handle the reduce function. So once those maps have output their list of information, this will reduce it and count the votes for us. Next we have our vote count application class. This is your main class. This is going to set all the locations of the files, set the mapper, set the input formats, and the output format, and then submit the job. When running this, we need to actually change the compile version. So we want to force Java to run on 1.6. And this is just a little bit older tutorial, which is why it's using the older JDK. So we will go to our properties of our project here. The Java compiler. Chances are you'll have use compliance for execution from Java SE 1.7. Just uncheck that and then set this to 1.6 and click OK. So now we are going to create a runnable jar that Hadoop can use to run this application. So we will go to the project, click Export, Java runnable jar. It's key to use a runnable jar, not just a jar. The launch configuration, so select our application, export destination. We'll just use our desktop. And then extract file, required libraries to generate a jar. Make sure to have that selected. So we already have it created, so we're not going to override it at this time, but it will look exactly the same. Well, that will run, and then you just click out of this dialog box. You may get a error saying that the program compiled with warnings. These are warnings, not errors, so you don't need to worry about them. Things like a variable not being used or simple things like that. So as we can see, we have here our Utopia VoteCount jar, and that is ready to be run in Hadoop. But we do need to do, as I said before, the commands to get Hadoop set up correctly in terms of the file systems. So the first command, so we're going to pause from this tutorial section here. And the first command we're going to run is we want to create a directory in the HDFS for these vote count files. So simply start from the beginning here. We simply open a terminal and run this command here. And we should get an error here because we already have created this file. But when you, it looks like it worked. So when you run this command, this is what it should look like. Next, we want to copy our vote count booth text files. So let me actually show you where we have that set up. So we have, let's go to the computer here, our file system, user, library, U. And then in here we have the vote count input, which is booth text 1. So you can see we have several votes in the booth, and booth text 2. So we now need to put those files into the HDFS. So we're going to run this command here. As you see, we got an error if you run, because we're running this again for the second time. So what you will see is very similar to what we just saw above, which was it just will complete the command. So don't be looking for this. And we'll need to run that command again for booth text 2. So you just arrow up, go back and change that. As you can see again, it already exists. So at this point, we're actually ready to run the application. So this is our Hadoop jar command that's going to run the Utopia vote count. As you can see, we have the path to the desktop where the jar is located. We have the paths. Now keep in mind these are the paths that are on the distributed file system, not the local file system. So it's what we set up so Hadoop can work with those files. And then we have a user library hue VoteCountOutput. This, if you run the command multiple times, you'll need to change the name. We've run it 2 times, so we're going to have to change the name to output 3. This will take a second to run here. You may see some warnings or errors. But the proof is in the pudding here, so from here we're going to run our get command to get the file out of the HDFS and copy it to our desktop, our output here. So we make sure to change this to VoteCountOutput 3. Give it a second to run here. Close out these files. We're going to pause the video here. It seems to be lagging just a bit. Give it a second. Okay, so we're back here. As you can see, we have our output folder. The temporary one. And as you can see, it looks like Jin and Juju tied. So this concludes the tutorial. Please comment below for any additions or explanations or questions you guys have. Thanks for watching.